this video, we'll be testing the Marmot Crane Creek 2-person tent for its ease of setup, spaciousness, rain protection, comfort, and more. I bought this tent from Amazon, and here's the unboxing. Out of the box, this is what I got: the carry bag, a pole bag, a stake bag, a rainfly, and a tent body. Inside the bags, you'll get 2 poles, 4 guy lines, 4 tensioners, 6 stakes, and a pole repair splint. The entire setup is pretty straightforward. There's just a simple X pole that forms the main tent body, and it fits easily into the grommets at each corner. Then secure the 12 pole clips. These clip the body onto the poles, and there are no pole sleeves at all. The brow pole goes on top of the X pole, and the rainfly secures easily over the poles because it comes with not only red color-coded tabs but also easy clip buckles. Then stake the entire thing down and guy it out. Altogether, the entire setup takes only about 6.5 minutes. Taking down the tent is just the opposite of the setup. It also took me about 6.5 minutes to pack the whole thing away, and the carry bag wasn't too much of a tight fit or anything, which is great. For more details, I have a separate video with loads of instructions and tips to help you set up your tent more easily. The peak height inside the Crane Creek 2 is about 43 inches. I'm only about 5'3", so even with a 4-inch thick sleeping pad in the tent, there was still plenty of headroom left for me. Same with a 6-inch mattress, still plenty of headroom left. The peak height is only at the center though. The walls slope downwards for the rest of the tent. But I really like that I got a peak height throughout the width of the tent. That's because of the brow pole, which goes on top of the X pole during the setup. Here's what it looks like from the inside. It holds the entire body up nicely, giving you almost vertical side walls for the front and the back of the tent. The length inside the Crane Creek 2 is about 86 inches, and the width comes in at about 49 inches. That's a total base area of 29.3 square feet. So when I inflated my Exped Megamet Duo 10 inside the Crane Creek, which is about the size of 2 regular pads put together, it fit quite nicely with quite a bit of leftover space. However, because the width is a little bit too short, when I inflated an almost queen mattress in the tent, it couldn't fully inflate, plus it bulges out the front of the tent as well. The Crane Creek 2 comes with 2 vestibules when staked down. Both are exactly the same size, and the longest width of each vestibule is about 34 inches, so that's a pretty decent size. Each vestibule gives you an extra 10 square feet, so that's 20 square feet of extra base area. To set up the vestibule, just use the attached webbing to stake it down. Only one side of the vestibule has this webbing, so that allows only the right side to be opened and closed. If you don't need a vestibule, you can unstake it completely and tie up the vestibule fabric with these 2 toggles here. Tying the vestibules up will give you easier access to the doors, and when you open both doors, the cross ventilation makes it so much comfier. It also helps that the doors are a pretty big size, measuring about 41 by 29 inches each. To keep the doors open, there's a toggle by the side. I wish the door opened a little bit more than it actually does, so there's not so much tension on the toggle, because it sometimes just springs loose. For storage, there are 2 small pockets in the tent, each measuring about 10 by 4.5 inches, not super big. There's also a plastic loop at the peak height for a lantern or a fan. And around this top loop, we have another 4 felt loops for hanging extra stuff. There was no gear loft provided with the tent though. The overall seam taping on the tent was really good. All the seams in the rainfly were perfectly taped, and for the inside, all the seams that weren't covered by the rainfly were also taped, like the flooring seam, and also especially the corners. The Crane Creek comes with 4 main guy lines for wind protection, and I really liked that you could also add extra guy lines for the widths of the tent and guide them out too. That way, during heavy rain, the rainfly is pulled away from the tent body at all sides for better rain protection and ventilation. First, I rain tested the Crane Creek through an hour of moderate rain, and after the rain stopped, there was not a single leak at all. Next, I heavy rain tested this tent for another hour, and again, not a single leak in the tent. So I checked all the seams, no leaks. I checked the corners, no leaks. I checked the underneath of the rain fly, not even damp. I even managed to leave the vent open in heavy rain, and it didn't leak at all. It faces downwards, held open with a Velcro kickstand, so it really helps with not letting any water into the tent. And even if it does happen to leak, which I think it won't, you can always close it from the inside. For hot day ventilation, I typically like to remove the rain fly from the tent, and here's what it looks like. I think this counts for maybe 60% mesh and 40% fabric. I wish there could be a little bit more mesh so it wouldn't be so hot in the summer when I usually camp. But I see why Marmot pegs this as a 3+ season tent instead, not a 3-season summer tent. The mesh is also a really weird green color. I typically like a more transparent looking mesh for easier stargazing and unblocked views. As for materials, the majority of the tent is made of 100% polyester. I think it's between 60+ to 75D polyester, including the flooring, because it doesn't feel any thicker than the rest of the body. The poles are 7000 series aluminum poles, and the mesh is micro mesh. The holes were able to keep out every single bug for me. The zippers don't seem to be branded, but they're pretty smooth. I didn't have any snagging issues with the doors, and the vestibules zip up smoothly as well from the inside and the outside. For portability, the Marmot Crane Creek 2 has a longest pack length of about 21 inches because that's how long the poles pack down to. Overall, the pack size is 21 by 9 by 6.5 inches. It weighs about 5.6 pounds, which is a little bit more than the marketed specs of 4 pounds and 12 ounces. I'll leave a breakdown of all the different components on the screen. For pros, one of the biggest reasons I bought this tent is because I happened to buy it for less than $150 during Amazon Prime Day, which I think is crazy value for money for a Marmot tent. And of course, it comes with Marmot's limited lifetime warranty. Waterproofing is also incredible for the price, complete with thorough seam taping, a full coverage rain fly, and it survived an hour of heavy rain no problem at all. And in almost all the tests in this video, it performed pretty well. Overall, there's not a lot to complain about, especially for the price that I bought it for. But if I had to pick out some cons, I would say that I don't like the X pole because when the pole isn't used or broken in yet, it pops out of the grommets when setting up. Also, the rotating swivel in the middle is prone to breaking, so typically more moving parts, more breaking. I also expected the Crane Creek to have more vents. There's only one vent in the tent, and the average good quality 2-person tent will have anywhere between 2 to 4 vents instead. On top of that, not enough guy lines were provided, so you need 2 more for the 2 widths, and only 6 stakes were provided. That's only enough for the tent base and the vestibules, so I'm short 4 stakes for the 4 guy lines and another 2 for the width, so altogether I'm short about 6 stakes. There is no footprint provided as well, unlike some of the other tents that I've used for a similar price. That's a little bit concerning because the flooring isn't very thick at all, and you've got to pay for the footprint separately. Overall, if you can pick this up for a great price, I would 100% recommend it. I think anywhere between $100 to $150 is fantastic value for money, but I wouldn't pay more than $200 because you will have other better options in the market. I know this because I tested the Marmot against other similar tents. Check out this video on the screen to see how it went. I'll put it up when it's ready. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in that one.